Did the recent federal court decision change your mind about the use of the Emergencies Act to end the trucker convoy protests?
Given the situation, I think it was justified. I'm not somebody who's comfortable with a lot more of like police presence and police having the ability to kind of, pull people over more often. But at the end of the day, like, I remember what was happening during the trucker convoy, and, they were kind of in the city making everybody's lives a little bit difficult. And so I agree it was needed at the time and maybe not needed anymore.
I mean, I think there's a contradiction because there's a rural commission who seem to find the opposite. So I think I'm a bit confused about exactly why that is the case. I would say that law enforcement seemed to need reinforcement in order to actually break up the blockade. So there was maybe a justification there. I think the freezing of bank accounts and going to that extent, I think was overreach. I think it was too much. There were people who gave to a cause that they believed in. I don't think that was any reason to freeze their bank accounts. So, law enforcement may have needed a bit of help, I would say. So that part of it, I think I agree with, but there are other measures that I think were overreach.
I think it was justified. I think that they were dangerously occupying space in our capital. I think that they were given a lot of opportunities to vacate. I think that they were violently spreading misinformation and targeting protected groups. And I think that if that's the only way that they could have left, that's just what had to be done.
I don't know that I know enough about what restrictions exist around the Emergencies Act to know whether or not it was misused. I do think, based on how the events unfolded, that there was nothing done to prevent the occupation. I think that the Emergencies Act was a reasonable solution once it was too late to prevent such a drastic occupation of downtown Ottawa. I wish that it could have been handled sooner, because it was a lot of trauma, noise trauma, and harassment of the population that lives in this area. So
doing that takes away people's freedoms. I strongly disagree with that. I strongly disagree with Trudeau.
Did it change my mind?
Yeah.
No, because what they decided just recently is what I thought. They should have decided all along not to use the Emergency Act. I think it would have been a lot better for the federal government to have a conversation with the organizers of the Freedom Convoy and meet with them and talk about what was bothering them or what they felt was unfair about mandating vaccines.
Should have never been used to begin with.
Can you elaborate? Why do you feel that way?
Well, there was an emergency. It's plain and simple. It should never have been used. It was an overreach, one of many. No.
No, I felt like it was a bad idea to use the Emergencies Act, not because I agreed with the trucker convoy, but because it was too much and it set a bad precedent for the long term.
Yeah, it was very much warranted, as well as, I don't know about you, but I don't want somebody parking at the end of my driveway and honking their horn for a month. And that's what they had to experience in downtown Ottawa. And that wasn't fair to the general populace of Ottawa, who are just trying to get to and from their doctor's appointments, go about their day. And as much as they didn't really see it like that, they could have easily protested on the grounds of Parliament like everybody else does. I think every time I've been to Ottawa, there's been a protest on the grounds, and they could have stayed there as long as they want, but to shut down the city, that's not appropriate.
No, it didn't change my mind about the use of the act, but it definitely clarified we need to adjust how we apply the act in the future legally.
yeah, so I don't know if they should have done that. I think that, like, obviously people needed to be able to get through and go to work. Like, obviously it was stopping a lot of things from happening, but I do think that people do have a right to, like, voice their opinion. And, like, I understand kind of where they're coming from, because it was stopping a lot of work. And I don't fully agree with the whole COVID thing. So I don't know, I'm kind of on their side with it. So I don't know if they should have been able to use the Emergency Act for it.
I think it was justified in stopping their actions. I agree with the court that it probably wasn't justified in going after their personal bank accounts. Maybe going after funding coming in from outside the country was justified, but the actions to hold all those people hostage, anybody that thinks that was a good idea, I'd ask them to invite those people to park in front of their house for 4 or 5 weeks, see how they like it.
Oh yeah, no, it was totally illegal and absolutely unnecessary. And I think that every member of the Liberal Party should be ashamed for the service that they've done for this country during the last 6 years. Absolutely.
They're peaceful protesters, and they should be allowed to protest. It is Ottawa, and Ottawa citizens should be ready for that. If you live in Ottawa, you should already know that's the place that you have to protest when it's a national thing.
No, I thought they should have done it because there's no way of getting rid of all the people in Ottawa there.
And it impacted too many people's lives.
It changed things. Was the EMO the best choice? We didn't have another choice. I don't appreciate how our Prime Minister enforces things or goes about things, but I also think that that's all we had at the time. And really the fault lies with our court system for not enacting better acts that allow for a better use of police services, the military, and different acts that we do have in place.